Greetings, peoples of the
Intro
interwebs.
music.
Yeah, that was very nice.
Intro music.
Ron Daler.
Intro music.
So yeah, this podcast is about DC's New
No
52.
production value.
Not yet, until you all start investing money in our podcast, which is a very horrible idea, but we encourage it.
Especially since we provided you no means of doing so.
Vistaprint, TrueCard.com, and Fan Outfitters.
Yeah.
Sponsors we don't have yet.
But we will have them.
Yeah,
soon.
that's the
Oh,
key
we
word.
will.
Yeah.
Oh, we will.
Yeah. But again, so basically this is about the DC's New 52 launch of their comics, which so far from what I've read, I'm thoroughly impressed.
We're just getting on this now. We just heard about this 3 years later.
I've just now... I mean, you guys...
Okay.
It's
Catching
okay.
you up,
Jake,
man.
Jake
Yeah.
is catching up on comics in general.
Yeah. Again, as I've...
You made some good progress last several months.
Thank you.
I will admit.
So again, as I've established in previous podcasts, I've probably on the past 3-4 months just started to get into comics more regularly.
Now you're discovering the greatness.
I truly am. Like
We've
I'm
been talking about.
yeah, like I'm pretty much kicking myself in in the butt. It's just
Better
like
late than never, though.
why have I not gotten in this sooner? But
So just all the comic shops you've been to, just like me and Richard, and
yeah.
kind of tagging along,
we all
and then
went
all
to
of a sudden,
Moonlight and
Well,
stuff.
no, I think the main thing is like, especially with the superheroes, is
you
I
did
never
have a thing against superheroes for a while.
well,
Mr. Aquaman.
it's not that I had anything against superheroes. It's just like I didn't know where to start. Because with a lot of the superheroes, they relaunch them every so often, and a lot of them.
It's tough to jump in on something.
Yeah.
It's been, I guess, a nice segue to this. It's tough to jump in these characters and stories that have been going for 70
Several
years.
hundred issues.
And I was actually talking to a couple coworkers about this the other day, because they were mentioning that they were wanting to get into comics but didn't know where to start, and I was like, yeah, that was kind of my problem, but I kind of recommended a good place is like with DC's New 52.
I guess the whole goal of that was
it's a great
because
starting
they were
point.
up to 700 plus issues on a lot of these, which was a great thing, a very ambitious thing.
Yeah, and starting over with series that weren't working out.
Yeah.
They just kept going over and then
Brought over some things
Yeah.
from Vertigo,
Started
just
over.
kind of a fresh start, really,
Yeah.
and a lot of storylines that people maybe weren't happy with.
Yeah, it was a new hope.
Yeah.
It wasn't, and I liked how it wasn't a complete relaunch.
It's almost like
or a
relaunching
reboot,
it.
not really a complete reboot,
Yeah.
I guess.
It's essentially relaunching it for a new audience, but still keeping some of the same
But
continuity.
a lot of the same continuity, obviously changing a lot of things, but I guess still keeping the basic framework of it.
Yeah.
You didn't get a lot of brand new origin stories,
Yeah.
and except from the separate kind of Batman Earth 1 or whatever type of stuff.
That's what I liked a lot about them. They just kind of got right into it.
Yeah, like it didn't really focus a whole lot on
Didn't
like
have to rewrite the
Yeah.
whole history.
They kind of expected you to somewhat know it,
Yeah.
jump on into it.
Though, I mean, I like for the lesser known characters and stuff that maybe they were bringing back for a while. There's a bit more intro for that.
Yeah. But as I mentioned to you gentlemen recently, I read the first 2 volumes of Aquaman, and I was blown away at how amazing
very
it was. Jeff Johns, of
He
course,
said
is the main...
Aquaman, people.
Yeah, like, 'cause admittedly, I have been wanting to get more into Aquaman just because he's such an underrated character, and I feel like underappreciated. But
He's so stereotyped.
yeah, but that's the beauty though of the New 52 is Jeff Johns works with that. Like he's
He
probably one of my
invented
favorites.
Green Lantern.
Yeah.
10, 15 years ago for a whole new audience. He just kind of.
He's really done. He's done well with this Aquaman. When he did some Flash stuff, and Green Lanterns really kind of brought those characters back to life.
Yeah.
But like what I loved about
Hal Jordan.
what I loved about like Aquaman though is again he kind of works with the fact that Aquaman's kind of a joke. Like probably one of my favorite panels in the first volume was like pretty early on. Like Aquaman stops this bank robbery, which in a really cool way. Like basically he has like these, I guess like aqua jet propeller ability where he can just like zoom through water, and basically like this armored truck. They just got done robbing the banks. They're escaping the police. Jumps down like right in front of the truck, impales the front with his trident, lifts it over, flips the truck, and stops the bank robbers. So that alone is just like, oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, I like the whole idea of the cops are making jokes and stuff, and there's I like that there's that acknowledgement of the public opinion, but then you also see, well, it's not entirely true.
Yeah, because like when Aquaman, he's like, all right, it's up to you guys now. I've defeated, I've stopped the robbery. Zooms away, and then they're like, man, can't believe we got upstaged by Aquaman. But then like right after that, he goes into like this. He goes into this diner, and everyone's just like, oh my god, is that Aquaman? And like the waitress is just kind of like, oh, I look so terrible. Like I just got off or I'm on like a 20-hour shift or whatever. I'm a single mom putting my kids through college. He's like, I'm sorry, my problems seem stupid compared to you. And he's like, no, that's fine, because he's being very humble and polite. And he asks for fish and chips, and the guys in the booth behind him, they're like, what? You can't do that.
Yeah.
He's like, what do you mean? He's like, because fish are like your friends. you like talk to them and
nice
stuff.
to have a little bit of comedy in there.
And he's like he kind of like sighs. He's like, no, I don't. Fish aren't my friends. I don't talk to them. I use my telepathic powers to like push them in the direction I need them to help me out. And they're just kind of like, well, how's it feel not being like anyone's favorite superhero and stuff like that? He's like, I just want to have lunch.
I'm just trying to live my life
I'm just trying to do my thing. This is another normal day.
And like one of the guys is kind of like,
human.
They're like,
I get it, whatever.
Yeah, and like one of the guys is like, how do you even like make money like being a superhero, not getting paid? And like the next panel just shows him.
I get laid instead.
Like the next panel,
the king of Atlantis.
Like he's under
Little Mermaid,
underwater, like in the ocean. There's like this treasure chest of like gold piled up, and he's like, I get by.
Yeah.
I love that, and then after getting ridiculed, he's like, whatever, I'm done with this. And then like leaves the waitress like 2 gold coins. He's like, pull your kids through college.
Exactly. I remember.
Like, so cool.
It's been a couple of years since I read that, but because I picked up so many titles when New 52 came out, just because it was so awesome and new.
I wanted
and
to check out everything.
And plus,
so much stuff. I didn't keep up.
At the time, I was kind of thinking, I was like, if I buy a lot of these first several issues, it could be worth some money one day.
Already
so
up to a decent amount.
Yeah,
some of them.
But I do. Since you mentioned Aquaman, that kind of was one that I picked up. I was like, well, I feel like Aquaman could be pretty cool, and if he's done the right way. And I was reading that first, through 2 volumes we were talking about. I was like, this is really good.
And his wife is awesome too.
Yeah.
Like,
I forgot about some of this stuff until
everyone's
started
just
mentioning
like,
it.
Oh, Aquawoman. She's like, no, I'm not Aquawoman. I'm Mera. And like she like stops this guy from like he's got this little girl, like it's her daughter. Like apparently he killed his wife. And she's holding her hostage, and the police are telling her to put down the gun. She just kind of walks up and starts draining the fluid by the water out of his body, which she can do. Pretty awesome power.
Was pretty cool.
Yeah, and she's just kind of like...
The body is 70% water.
Yeah. She's just like draining the water out of his body. She's like, yeah, this is 2 hours without water. Your mouth's getting a little dry.
That's a lot of things fatigued. I love in, not only the New 52, but just when certain writers and creative teams or whatever take... These seemingly, they've got water powers.
Yeah.
Like
something that seems kind of
a lot of stuff like in more recent, Flash type of stuff of like he runs really fast. What can he? But you look into kind of the science of that and the sort of potential of stuff he could stuff they could theoretically do. It gets a lot cooler than just what seems like a sort of simple concept.
And I mean, like pretty much right off the bat in the Aquaman, he's fighting like this. I guess ancient, deep-dwelling sea creatures.
Yeah.
They like
the others, or
no, not the others. That's in volume 2.
Later.
Like I don't.
It's been a few years.
I don't even remember.
It's been a little while since I don't really know where I left off.
Like I don't remember if they even had like a name for their race or whatever. But they're like these deep-dwelling sea creatures that like come up to the surface world for food. And so Aquaman, he's just minding his own business. That thing, they start attacking, starts impaling these things with his trident. Like just flipping him over his shoulder.
Like the use of the trident, there's not, they don't always bring that in as much as they should. Yeah,
and then his wife is just like using tidal waves to like sweep him away. They're just making quick work of these little monsters, and they're like, and the people standing by watching this are like, oh, Aquaman's actually pretty cool. he's no joke. And then Aquawoman, then you'll see her little comment to the side. It's like Mera, not Aquawoman.
Yeah, I remember. I really liked the artwork.
Yeah, the artwork was fantastic too.
Not just that, but a lot of those New 52s drew me into those series.
Yeah, we like
the artwork because some of those issues I recall didn't have a whole lot of dialogue, but just said so much with those pictures.
Pages and whatnot. I think sometimes it can be a little overused.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's everybody's personal taste. I would say a thing I have with a little bit with DC is I get kind of the uniformity of it, but a lot, and not all the books are like this, but I noticed that a lot of them it's a lot of the same style. Yeah. I guess maybe that is for the sake of uniformity, but I like a bit more of it. I mean, those are really good. Don't get me wrong. There's some amazing artwork that I couldn't do in a million years. Which is why I admire
Million and 1 years, maybe.
1,000,001, maybe I get it on that 1,000,002nd year if I had that long to live. But
I recall
why I admire it so much, but I guess that was going to get me into somebody who's a little bit more unique. There was Greg Capullo on Batman right now.
Yeah.
Really, at first it threw me off a little, just being so different. It's like, why doesn't this look
Bring
more
back
like,
the gray suit, baby.
Yeah, but I've grown to really like his
and that's
style.
That's my favorite New 52 title out right now.
I mean Scott Snyder.
He keeps bringing it in, even after some have gotten canceled
his American
due to sales
and stuff he's done. Previously before the New 52, but just really anything I've read. The only thing that I didn't like all that much by him was the Flashpoint Superman, but I just think that was kind of a bad.
Flashpoint
wasn't really much you could do with Flashpoint Superman.
Exactly. I remember there was a lot of good titles since me and Dave are kind of buying those when they first
kind of when I got back into comics.
Yeah, they kind of brought us back because I remember we started reading a few more graphic novels, picking up some single issues here and there, but they announced this whole DC New 52. You look at all these new titles coming up. And I remember one title that kind of threw both of us off that being really well written was Batgirl.
Yeah.
I mean, that just kind of... I really don't know. I don't think I was going to plan on picking that up. And
I just got it because I wanted to get...
I wanted to get a lot, but I heard like such good reviews on it. I was like, wow.
Well, it's kind of the same thing with...
I really...
Says watching
really hit the nail on the head there.
I don't know why. Like, I kind of just checked this...
Barbara Gordon back into it.
Yeah.
Not letting Jake talk. And...
Dick.
Good Barbara.
It's my channel.
How do you know she's the one?
But I kind of I watched a video like on YouTube, and they mentioned Red Hood and the Outlaws, and really
figured we get to it at some point.
Like I really like
our buddy Zach that I mentioned in a podcast is a big Red Hood fan,
as you should be.
Shout out to Zachary.
I always
happy birthday yesterday, man.
Yeah, like the Red Hood's
happy birthday, Zach.
Yeah, happy birry, by the way.
If you ever listen to this or come onto the podcast,
I'll tell him to listen to this specific episode.
But like, I was watching them. They were kind of talking about, I guess the New 52 in general. They mentioned Red Hood and the Outlaws, and just the synopsis of it. And I was like, huh,
that's
a cool concept.
Yeah.
So I kind of went out on a whim. I was looking on Amazon for new comics, and I was like, you know what? Let's see how much Red Hood is. I forgot how much I paid for it, but about the standard amount. And I was like, you know what? I'll go on a whim. It sounds like a cool idea. Read the description of it. Bought it, and then as soon as I got it in, I was like, all right, let's give it a go. Read it, and I was like,
wow.
Order volume number 2. And I got volume number 3 in today, so I'm just like,
remember like
time to start this.
They do anything, the first arc is sort of about, Jason's going back to
the old cast.
The temple, they're more of a
I want to reread those.
Type of element, and then next one they're in space, and then they're doing the Court of Owls thing. There are really no limits to, a lot of stories just stay.
They tie in with the Batman, whatever the Batman arc is. A lot of those have the tie-ins.
Yeah, because they're in Gotham for a previous reason. So some woman who's part of the Chinese mafia that he was affiliated with, he has to apparently he put her in the hospital. So he has to kind of go back and kill her. That's that way that problem's dealt with, and she can't come back to be a problem. And while he's dealing with that, shortly afterwards, that's when the Court of Owls has taken place, and I think Alfred actually sends out a message just
coming back too.
Yeah, all Bat members. This is what's going on. He's like,
yeah, and then you can go off. And, I guess it's promotional. The main reason being promotional. If you're not reading Nightwing, Batgirl, Red Hood, Teen Titans.
Yeah, I think it actually ties into. I think it ties into Teen Titans as well.
Like
I read Teen Titans for a bit.
Which I've
again. It was also Lindell, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
At least initially.
I can run upstairs and check. I got it.
Fantastic writer though, from what I've seen. Seen with Red Hood and the Outlaws, it's this nice blend of action and comedy.
Bit of controversy to start, but I didn't really put a lot into that. I mean, it was so early on. I guess the controversy being Starfire wasn't really a well-developed character, but
I think
people were complaining about that in like one issue.
Yeah,
nobody's that well-developed after one issue.
And I think another thing that I like
give
about
it a chance.
The Outlaws is they start out kind of this rocky relationship. They're not like right off the bat, hey, we're all good friends.
They're not bros yet. You gotta win the broness over.
They're not a team.
Yeah, like they're really up until like the end of like volume 2. They're kind of like, we're a team, I guess, but we're still
maybe on this day. I don't know.
Yeah,
what next.
like they do their own individual things that kind of rope in the other two members. Like again, what you're saying when they're in space, Starfire.
Yeah, that was Starfire's whole arc.
Yeah, they kind of get beamed up with her, and they're like, oh, well, I mean, we're already
here.
We
got to do this now, and I guess whatever that girl Jason was with.
I can't remember her name. It escapes
kind
me.
of by happenstance. Just forget why. I don't know if there was anything deeper to it than like a one night stand, but.
Pretty much. Or no, they were on a date, and then they get beamed up.
Yeah, I thought there was a little bit more to the story than that.
Yeah. But then, Joker comes in at the very end of the second volume. Then
for the death of the family time.
Yeah, so naturally, as soon as I've read volume 2,
flow.
I was like, oh my god, I need volume 3!
Another series I liked that New 52 when it first came out was Nightwing.
Yeah.
Need to get into that.
Disappointed with how that ended.
It had a really solid start. Kyle Higgins, which not all these writers, but a lot of them are pretty young, so it gives you a good hope for the future of
that they want to keep these
writers and
for a while.
That's another series I would recommend if you're a Bat Family fan.
I can't say anything about the new Grayson series.
Yeah, I've been wanting to get into it. I might wait just
wasn't that appealing to me. The whole
if I see it at like the library, I'll pick it up. Which I definitely recommend to those listening. Pick up some of these series at the library. A lot of libraries are really carrying these new 52 trade paperbacks now.
Also been meaning to check out the Suicide Squad, which I picked up the first issue.
Yeah, I want to get into that too. Especially since the movie's coming out next year. I'd like to get a little more knowledgeable about that.
We can get a bit more into the movie at another time. Yeah. But I don't.
It's got Margot Robbie. Let's all be happy. It's got Margot Robbie.
I'm very happy about that.
Have you read the Suicide Squad New 52 yet?
Like the first. I like the new lineup that they've got now. It kind of makes me want to get into it. Yeah. But, initially, when I checked it out, I wasn't that impressed with it. I couldn't really get that into it, though. I guess sort of, I really like the new Deathstroke. Or not the new Deathstroke, but
Deathstroke was pretty cool.
Initially got canceled.
No, I mean, for those of you listening, feel free to chime in if you're well versed with Suicide Squad. Let us know how you feel about New 52.
Yeah, or any of the New 52 ones that you like.
So I was heard that like New 52 is kind of like some people feel it's like a jumbled mess. So I was reading like some of the reviews on the Suicide Squad, and some people were like, "This is like the one good thing."
Yeah, different books are
So you were telling me that
it's the Green Arrow one.
Yeah. So I thought about getting the Green Arrow New 52.
Like horror. It's just something about it that I can't really put my finger on. It just doesn't flow very well. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like it tries to be.
Try too hard.
Maybe. I don't know. It doesn't really
some of these 52.
Right.
I mean, there was 50. Yeah, there's 52 titles released. Not all of them are going to be hits.
No,
so that's why they've started over with some.
I didn't care for. Canceled others.
I was really disappointed with that one.
Well, Tony S. Even on some of the old Batmans, Tony S. Daniels is not half amazing artist, but really not a good writer.
Yeah.
I gotta say.
With some of these other series that started out kind of strong, but then died down, like we kind of mentioned, Nightwing. I liked All Star Western when it first came out, like Jonah Hex and stuff. I remember I read some of those.
Don't know that I really read that.
Swamp Thing and Animal Man were really cool.
Was cool. I don't know why I really stopped on Swamp Thing.
Yeah, I think it was during that period I was getting too many titles and I had to cut some.
To drop stuff.
Now I don't have enough titles.
It's at one point I was in between jobs, so I dropped a lot of stuff because of that. But
going up, getting new stuff on a Wednesday, reading all that, loving it, and going back and getting other titles on Saturday.
That's kind of like the point that I'm at now, to where I'm like, as soon as I finish an issue or
you have to get something else, either that or something else new similar to it.
It's like my new addiction.
I'm getting back into.
But it's a great feeling.
Yeah, it is, because it's kind of like, oh, that was so good. Why can't I have the next volume or next issue in my hands right now? Which, again, that's a fantastic feeling when, whether it be comics or whatever, is when you finish that issue, that volume, and you're just like, I need the next issue volume in my hands immediately.
That's how I am with Why the Last Man. As I'm trying to finish it, I'm halfway through. So whenever I finish, we can get that podcast in.
No, but just we've mentioned in previous podcasts. So check that out.
Whenever I can get it.
Any other things about the New 52?
Yeah, there's one series I wasn't impressed with. I got like the first 3 to 5 issues with Superman. I couldn't find a groove with it. I wouldn't say I'm a huge Superman fan to begin with, but I was it starts over. It's a new start. So I was thinking it'd be
Superman almost.
I dropped it pretty. It didn't do enough for me.
I do know that
once Grant Morrison got off action, I got off action.
They did. I think the New 52 is what they introduced. Superman's new power is like the solar flare type thing, where basically he releases all of his energy built up from like the solar energy, and basically he becomes more or less a human for like a couple of days till he basically gets that energy back. Which I think that's kind of a cool concept to kind of not make Superman so overpowered.
Yeah, which is what I really liked about the action. It was more still like he couldn't fly.
Yeah.
He's not.
I remember picking up some of those first couple issues of action as well, but I didn't keep up with it.
And then Morrison didn't stay on as long as I would have hoped.
What New 52s is he doing right now?
And he's doing the whole convergence, multiversity thing.
I didn't know what he was doing before that, though.
For like 2 or 3 years. He was doing Batman Incorporated, which was really good.
Well, that was a title added later on. It wasn't original.
Yeah. Well, that's true. I think he only really started out doing action, and under the impression, I heard an interview with him.
Who was writing Justice League when it first started? Because I remember
Johns.
Okay,
Johns.
Okay, I thought so.
Justice,
yeah.
I read that for a while.
It was a little confusing because the timeline's it starts like 5 years before that, or before all the other books, because it's pretty much the origin of how they all met.
Yeah.
And the timeline was a little confusing, and just because of like I think the Court of Owls worked their way into Justice League at some point, and how is that happening then? When did they jump in time? I don't know. I might have missed a few issues in between that too, but not that it's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
But just when they're trying to keep sort of continuity.
I remember just picking up so many titles when they first came out, just to get those first couple issues. Like I liked Catwoman a lot when it came out too.
Like, besides Ed Brubaker's Catwoman, I'd probably say it was Judd Winnick's probably my second favorite.
Batwoman wasn't bad either.
I read some of Batwoman. I
read that for longer than I actually planned on it.
I now have a lot of homework to do to catch up on some of these New 52.
Not a bad thing.
Yeah.
We give homework at this podcast.
Yeah.
I got a 2.0 as we speak.
To ourselves, to you.
To the viewers, if you're looking for a good place to start, I'm going to be honest, start with a volume of Aquaman, Volume 1. It took me by surprise.
It's alphabetical.
I kind of figured that Aquaman would be cool. He's got some really cool aspects about him.
But you're just kind of going into it
this is
Aquaman. It'll be have a little action. It might be kind of corny, but
I picked up the first 2 volumes on a whim.
I'm wrong.
So I was like, what the heck? Why not?
Sure.
And as soon as I read the first volume, I was like, Volume 2. Then read through that, and I was just like, oh my god, what? Why is Aquaman a total joke? He's awesome.
I'm trying to.
And then,
I might try to pick that series up again.
And same thing with Red Hood.
Give stuff a chance that you might not have thought about.
Red Hood and the Outlaws is a fantastic series. I picked that up on a whim, and that's one of my favorite series right now. Just from the little that I've read of the New 52, I'm all on board. I really hope with the DC Cinematic Universe. I
think you're sold on
it. Yeah.
I'm glad they did the New 52. It was needed. It gave comics, a boom, a rebirth, and it was the right thing to do at the right time.
Yeah. Any other series or anything like that that you would like to mention before we wrap this up?
Green Lantern wasn't bad starting out.
Yeah,
I like the Green Lantern. It was pretty cool. Yeah, there was there's about 3 of them. New Guardians and Lantern Corps.
Red Lanterns was decent.
And Red Lanterns, yeah. I read all of those starting out.
I like all the
I like Green Lantern
books initially.
I like Hal Jordan. He's always been a cool character.
Kyle's my favorite, but Hal's the classic.
I like Hal and Kyle.
I mean, I like the whole
New Guardians and Green Lantern would be good.
The way it started out, Sinestro,
good series to get
being
into.
Back in the Green Lantern Corps, and the way they went with that, I thought it was kind of cool. Yeah. I mean, I think Sinestro is a cool character.
Yeah. And if I haven't already mentioned Red Hood and the Outlaws and Aquaman 52 is so amazing.
You really,
Please look into it.
Also, the Bat Family, you really can't go wrong with any title. There's maybe one or two don't pick up, but just about any title. Because if I like Damian Wayne a lot, Bruce Wayne's son.
Yeah.
Batman and Robin's a really good series.
Grant Morrison's
That's
Batman
a good series.
Robin,
yeah, that was before the New 52. That was really good.
But
but the Batman and Robin they have now, it's still really good. So I'd recommend that as well.
All right, well. I think that pretty much concludes our New 52 podcast. So hopefully you all have enjoyed this, and hopefully if you aren't already well versed in the New 52, hopefully you'll look into it. Again, it's amazing so
subscribe,
far.
Comment.
Thanks for listening.
Spread the word on
Recommend stuff
Productions.
To us,
Yeah, I'm all for it, especially since I'm still fairly new to
52 different
comics.
issues. We haven't read everything.
Or even older stuff. I'm all for just anything, really.
Email us, pastypupproductions@gmail.com.
We'll have to create
on
that.
On Twitter, I've already created it.
Oh, okay, awesome. Dave ahead of the time.
Great way for me to just tell you right now.
Thanks for notifying your team.
On Twitter, Facebook.
Pasty Pale Productions. So, yeah. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.